Welcome to the Becoming a Streamer podcast by Pipeline, where we interview your favorite streamers and learn about their journey to going full time. I'm your host and co-founder of Pipeline, Snoopy. Today, I'm sitting down with ZombiUnicorn. She has been a partner on Twitch for over 6 years and was the first Twitch partner to ever be on network TV. She has seen many facets of the industry and now has over 200,000 followers. And what I love most about her is that she just keeps it real. You're gonna love this episode. And if you enjoy it, please leave us a review and let us know who you would like to see on next. Welcome and a huge thanks for coming on the show, Zombie.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, our audience is primarily newer streamers. So I'd love to dive into your early journey, but to give some context for those listening, which platform are you on now and how much content are you creating each week roughly?
I'm on Twitch and I've been on Twitch for 8 years.
Wow.
But I used to do YouTube full time as well. And I do make content for basically all of their social media platforms. But right now is not a great example of how much I'm making content because I just moved and then I had to get a new setup, new computers. So I've been streaming very sparsely for the past month and a half, 2 months. But usually I stream at least 4 to 5 times a week and put out content every day on Twitter, Instagram, now TikTok, all the platforms.
I'd love to touch on that a little bit later. It's just when things happen, you got to move or you got to do these things. I'd love to touch on that in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But were you weren't always a streamer? 8 years is a long time. You've been in the game longer than 90% of Twitch streamers. Easy. But
probably.
When you were first starting out, did you start because you were watching content? Were you coming from YouTube and you started making content? How did it all start way back when?
So I actually started because I really liked a game called Smite and it was in closed beta and I was like, how do I get better at this game? And I would read comments online and stuff. And then I was like, wait, people are streaming this game on Twitch. And I had been on Justin TV a little bit, but I never really got too involved. And then so I went to Twitch where people were streaming closed beta Smite. And I was like, this is awesome. So I started watching and asking questions from people who are way better than me at the game. And then I just became a part of their community. And then one day the guy, Lionheart, he was like, I'm going to put my webcam on. And then he would play with people in the community and friends and stuff. And then one day when I was playing with him, he was like, you want to throw your webcam on too? And we can have both of our faces. And so he did. And it was fun. And I was like, this is kind of cool. And he was like, yeah, you should stream on your channel. And so I did. And then High Res found me and they were like, we really like your personality. We want you to be streaming on our channel as one of our official streamers. And then I kind of expanded to other games. And then I started doing YouTube. And then it kind of just snowballed and I've done all these other things. Now I do voice acting. I was on a TV show. It's just I've spread out so far into this entertainment industry, but it all started on Twitch. And that's my main favorite thing to do is stream. So
it's wild. 8 years ago. I used to stream on On3D. I don't know if you remember that platform. It was the European streaming platform before it died and then everyone went to Twitch. I don't know if you ever remember that one.
I vaguely remember it. There was some other ones that popped up along the way that died as well, but
and when you were first getting into it, so Lionheart, I feel like I've met Lionheart.
He ended up to become the vice president of High Res, and now he has his own studio.
His name is it Brian?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian. There you go. Yeah, it was a big risk to not get that right, and then for him somehow to find out, but that's good. So he recommended you trying it out, but had you ever done? You said you didn't do YouTube till later, so had you ever done anything about being on camera, talking to people? What made you just go, I'm going to do this?
Well, I'm an extrovert and I've always been very much a social butterfly. And originally when I went to college, I studied music composition and theory, and I was in a band with my friends and we kind of played. And then I would perform on my own and I had terrible stage fright, but I still had fun. But I quit that, went back to school for journalism, which taught me a lot, obviously in other aspects, but it also taught me how to just be able to go up to a stranger and ask anything and like talk to anybody and really take away a lot of the fear of the situation of like talking to strangers and stuff. And so I had done some on-camera work for that, but it was more like I was more writing. And then I was editor and stuff, but it really just kind of got me talking to people. So in that sense, between being an extrovert, the little experience with performing in music, and then, the interviewing skills for journalism, that like really helped me get over the initial hump of feeling awkward.
Did you have any of that? Did it even come up where you're like, oh, I can do this, I've done it before? Or was there an element of, shit, I gotta like figure out this
streaming bit?
Yeah.
I think it was just really natural at first because the Smite community was so small and like tight knit at the time, and so we all kind of knew each other and we were friends. So I was actually Hi-Rez had to recommend to me. They were like, "Hey, we know you have you love playing with friends and stuff, but people really like to talk to you. So maybe don't get all your friends in the call with you while you're streaming on our channel. It's okay to have somebody on with you once in a while, but like focus on like your personality with." The audience. And that really like clicked with me too. I was like, okay. And then I did that. And then it helped me grow even more because I constantly had like a bunch of friends in the call with me. Everybody's talking over each other kind of thing. This was like long before really it was common sense, kind of like mute yourself or like whatever. If you need to go do something.
Don't stream your address.
It's or like if you're both streaming, mute yourself when you want to talk to your chat, that kind of etiquette. And I think a lot of people still don't know that kind of stuff. So if you're streaming with multiple people and it gets too chatty, definitely keep it on everybody on
kill them
push
off.
To talk. Yeah. Push to talk.
That's so cool that a developer so early, because you weren't necessarily established at this point, but a developer took a chance on you. And was it almost like mentorship, or was it like just a couple of pointers here and there?
Well, that was it was just a couple pointers here and there. It was that, and oh my gosh, I did have the mistake of on Hi-Rez. They actually had to take me off the channel for a while because I showed my email accidentally on stream.
Oops.
I had the one PC setup with like two, like I think I had one monitor actually, and so I tabbed over to the email and it had all these gem codes in it.
I feel like everyone
and the stream key, and then that was what it was. They didn't care about the gem code so much, but like after I got off my time slot, somebody jumped on and like streamed Street Fighter or something. But they ended up letting me
starting out. There's so much of that stuff that there's so much to keep up with when you're live and interacting. Like you forget like the smallest slip. Like, oh my god, I had that Amazon tab open that's got like my delivery address.
Yeah, that can be a little scary.
Yeah. So when you were doing like all the tech side of things, because I remember way back when it was in some ways simpler, like streaming was simpler because there was so much less stuff and platforms and content and other streamers and things.
Elements and things.
Yeah. But figuring out the tech, like on the hardware side, did you know how to do that? Was it straightforward enough? Like camera, lights, one PC, laptop?
I just had like a webcam and a headset and a mouse and one computer. And when I first started streaming, I shared it with the guy I was dating at the time. And when we broke up, I was like not going to have a computer. And so I actually streamed, and people I helped like raise money for me to build my own computer. So the first time I actually had to like get my own, I built it. So
that's cool.
It's actually not that hard. I'm not like super tech. I mean, I know a lot more than the average bear, but it's really not that hard to build a computer. It's kind of weird. It's just parts. You put them together. Make sure you're grounded and you're not like going to fry something. Don't watch a tutorial on YouTube. It's really not that hard. And so putting all that together, it was kind of a janky setup or just like a very basic one. And then the further I got along with it, the more I wanted to upgrade. The more I wanted a nicer camera, a better light system, more things like animated stuff on my stream, different interactive elements and stuff like that. And it's just like it's been a hobby of mine to like upgrade the quality of my setup overall. So
that's one thing I find when people are starting out a lot is they kind of jump to I need to get the $5,000 setup, with all the flashy lights and the best camera.
You don't need that right away for sure. You don't need it.
Yeah, and like most people that became full-time streamers never had that to begin with. How did you decide when you were like upgrading? Like, what was the process? Like, okay, now I should get this. Was it I'm making more money, or is it just like I'm ready for a change? What was the...
I think it was like I was, saving money. If I had a little extra chunk of money and I saw something on sale, it was like, I want to get that. I used a Logitech webcam forever, honestly.
Was it the
And
C920?
yeah, the C920 before any of the Brio or any of that other stuff came out. Before like streaming with a DSLR was a thing. And back when I started seeing like a tutorial on how to use, I saw a tutorial that somebody did to use their DSLR as a webcam, but it wasn't for streaming. It was for some, just like in general, somebody like made this tech video. And I was like, this is awesome. So I actually did it and I put it on my stream. And then I wrote a guide how to do it. And then like all these other big streamers that I was friends with were like, how do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. So I started setting it up. And then everybody started using, I mean, I'm not the first person, I'm sure, to do it on Twitch, but I was one of the first people that like made it easy for others to do it by like writing this guide. And then that was before Elgato came out with Camlink, and they consulted me for it. They were like, okay, so what do you use right now? And this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then they came out with Camlink, and now it's even easier for everybody to do it. That's just like, you don't have to start with that. I mean, I for years I was using just a webcam, but I personally like the cinematic look of it. And I love photography. So like having a nice camera just adds more.
That's cool that you can kind of nerd out about upgrades. Like after the fact, like when you're actually interested, and rather than being a chore, like, oh, I gotta figure this thing out. It's like if you actually come with the optimism and like digging into your setup and going, oh, I want to tweak this and play with it and like, mess around and get to know what you're using every day versus being intimidated by it.
Yeah, it's definitely not everybody cares that much. They care more about gameplay, and they're like much better at video games than me. I'm sure I'm not great, but people come to my stream for personality. They don't come exactly for my sick plays.
Yeah.
So that's what, I focus on is making my place like a nice, cozy little setup. Like I always have nice stuff in the background. I just moved.
I love the unicorn. That's
thanks.
My favorite
Actually,
piece.
A streamer friend of mine sent that to me, and I was like, that's perfect. I love it so much. All these pieces of art back here are something related to Twitch or somebody in the community. And so I like to keep those close to me too. And I was like, when I moved to LA almost 6 years ago, and the more and more I like did collabs with actual production companies and stuff here, I saw like people like make these beautiful sets and things. And I was like, okay, I need to start making the background of my stream look like a set kind of, like make it look very entertaining to the eye when I'm not, like if I have to go to the bathroom, they can look at stuff in the background and be like, oh, that's neat. That's interesting. And that's just like another thing. For me, it's very visually focused, like lights, the color scheme. I do stick to a certain style in my graphics, and I have for a long time. It's kind of in the vein of like vaporwave, synthwave, a little bit of Outrun, basically like futuristic but nostalgic as well. And
that's super cool. So it's a very conscious choice. It's not, oh, this just kind of happened to come together. You're very consciously crafting not only your like main brand on stream, but like your content around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I just happen to love that art style in general. And so it made sense for me to like incorporate it into my stream and my graphics. Like I think a lot of people are trying, when they try to find a new logo or get one commissioned or something, you really need to think about, what do I actually like? If you're like a huge fan of like Art Deco or like retro futurism or, really rustic country, like think about how you would decorate your house and like what that style equates to. And then think about how you want to decorate your stream. Your stream's kind of like your house, right? But like online.
Your stadium, yeah.
Yeah. And so I try to put the same vibe that I feel in my house, like in my surroundings, in my stream, and that ends up making me very happy as well. Like it's not just like cool, it all matches and stuff, but it makes me happy to see it. So.
Did you ever, when you were designing your stream setup, did you ever think of it as, or did this evolve over time where it was, this is where I go to work? Like did you have to create like a conscious shift to like, this is my station where I sit down and I work?
Yes. I used to always have my room, my office, or like my desk set up and everything in my bedroom. And then when I moved to I lived in like Van Nuys for a little bit. I had a 3-bedroom house, and I lived with somebody I dated, and we both had our own office. And that was pretty nice, like to go and have your own room that was your separate office. And then when I moved from there, I got a 2-bedroom apartment. So I had one bedroom and one office still. And now I've downsized back. I actually live with 2 roommates now, and we have a 3-bedroom apartment. So it kind of sucks. I'm back in my bedroom again, but I have the master, so it's like huge, and I have this like little like cubby wall right here separating it. So it's still actually like a mini office right here. It's like a whole separate space. That way it does feel separate, because I totally know how it feels
from
like.
the shot. You can't even tell at all.
That right behind, you see that lamp in there? That's actually right next to my bed. So you can't see it. That's kind of the point, to like separate it, because it can feel really weird sometimes if you're just like constantly, if you can't treat it like a job, if it's not like separate from like your room or your bed or like where you go to sleep and relax. So I think that's super important. Eventually, if you can just like make a little corner of your room kind of separated, I think that helps.
I remember when I first started on Twitch, I was like I was still living with my parents, and it was like in the bedroom, like tiny little ass bedroom, and it was almost like very claustrophobic, but I didn't even think about it back then. But now I'm like, no, I need a space that's broken up. I cannot be as close to my bedroom. When you were starting out, it obviously like you didn't get to where you are like right away. It took years to get to where you are. When did it transition into being a job for you? Even if it was just a part-time job?
Yeah. When I moved to California, I actually moved back in with my parents for a couple months so I could get a place of my own. And I was in the tiniest little room, and I was like back with having my setup. I had to put up like a sheet as a background. And then I actually was driving every day to San Francisco, working at a yoga studio, and I got a flat tire on the way there. And that's like, I was in San Jose, so it was like an hour drive every day to work and like an hour back. It was crazy. And I got a flat tire one day. And they were like, look, we love you, but you're too far away. And that, it really, messes with us. You get a flat tire, something happens. So we're going to have to let you go. And I was like, so sad about it. I came home that day and streamed, and I got the email that I got partnered that same day. And I was just like,
that was a sign.
I was like, what? This is crazy. I can't believe this just happened. That's such unfortunate, but like fortunate, like turn of events there. And that became, I immediately got a bunch of subs and support, and like I had applied a few times and I got denied. I was actually hitting 500 concurrents back then, which is like, I don't hit 500 right now.
Yeah, that's super high.
So it was crazy. I did pretty well back then, and I immediately was like, I think this is enough to make it a job for me. And then I moved into like a little tiny room in San Francisco and did it from there. And I was like, I started getting more I was also doing YouTube full time at the same time. So I was really, really like grinding it, streaming almost every day, making YouTube videos every day almost. And then like companies like NVIDIA picked me up to stream on their channel to help like launch their channel.
Yep.
And they paid us, which was nice. I'd never been paid to like Hyros did not pay us. So I think they pay their people now, but like they did not pay us. So I was like, wow, I could get paid to stream for companies on their channel. I was like, I should be paid. This is right. This is good. And so I definitely was like, this is a job for me now. And that was pretty much, I've been a partner over 6 years, probably like 6.5 years now. And so it was probably right about that time, like 6 years ago, right before I moved to LA. I moved to LA because I was like, this is my job. I need to go to LA where the people are and do more collaborations and do all different types of content. But that's my thing. Like, I don't want to, like, I love streaming and it's definitely my main jam, but I actually really like doing a lot of other stuff too, like off-platform things and collaborations. So that's why I wanted to be here.
You mentioned when you got partner that it changed suddenly for you. And I think partner back then was quite different from partner now, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But what was it that changed? Was it like there was a lot more money, or you were able to make money, or was it just a validation? Like, I've been grinding for a while and this is like a sign for me to get extra motivated?
I knew I was doing well. Like I didn't get demotivated by getting denied a couple times with partner because I knew that I was doing well. I knew the content that I was making was interesting. I was growing a lot on YouTube as well. And so I knew that no matter what, if I just kept at it, it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. But it did feel like some validation to get that. But it also was like, hey, I can finally make a paycheck off of Twitch instead of just, getting donations. Bits were not a thing. There was no such thing as affiliates. There was no hosting. There was no rating. There was none of that. Like people would raid by like typing someone's channel in their own chat. And there was no other functionality, and it wasn't as popular as it is now. So it was really a lot harder. I always, I think it's funny seeing like, a lot of affiliates and stuff these days kind of complain. I have a friend who's been an affiliate for a while and he should be partner soon. And I always see him complain about not getting partner. And I'm like, dude, just take it easy. Just keep grinding. You're going to get it. Like, you don't know how hard it used to be.
Yeah.
There are so many more tools nowadays. And even if you don't make partner, you're still able to make money being an affiliate. You're still able to receive bits and subs and all these things. It's crazy that we used to do that and have nothing. Like we would get nothing out of it.
It was because the revenue then was so like swingy. It still is a little swingy, but you didn't have subs back then where you're like, okay, I've got this amount of subs and you know how much you're going to make. Mm-hmm. For you, when you were making that switch to full time, was it like, I've got a couple of months of good revenue here, I can go for it? Or had you like consistently for a year had like good revenue and you're like, I'm going to go do this all the time?
I was consistently. So right when I became partner, I got like 100 subs that day and it was nuts. And yeah, some fell off and then some came back and then we kept growing. But I maintained for at least around a year when I was living in San Francisco. And I was I do like sponsored stuff, like videos on YouTube, which was always like supplemental. And you can, they're getting, you're getting more sponsorships and stuff on Twitch these days, but there's still always more sponsorships in YouTube content. It's just easier, I guess, for like advertisers to see the worth in that, the value. Live streaming is still so new to them, but like I would, definitely make more off of those sponsorships. And then the Twitch subs were just an added plus. And I knew that having that Twitch audience and stuff also helped me with the other things. Cause like, I'd be like, hey, I'll do a video, but I also have this stream. So if you want to like do a monthly rate, I'll have you on my stream all the time or like whatever, play on your Minecraft server. I used to play a lot of Minecraft and there was a lot of sponsorship opportunities in there too. But I think it took me about, definitely around a year to really realize. And then some things just came up like with different opportunities that I kept flying back and forth to LA. And I was like, I really should just go to LA. Kind of where I want to be. I grew up in the South, so I'm like, I love the weather.
Yeah.
Like I like the beach. I don't ever go to the beach either. It's funny.
I live right next to the beach and never go to the beach.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, I need to be there. And I decided I'm doing it. And ever since I've been here, I've just grinded and gotten to be able to stay here.
One of the things that surprised me about that is that you were in SF when you were making that switch to full time. And I lived in SF for a couple of years. It's one of the most expensive places in the US. California, period, is one of the most expensive places in the US. For new content creators, how important is it for them to just like think about your burn rate in terms of being in a place like California versus whether it's like a place like Vegas or Austin or Midwest?
When I first started streaming, I was in Austin. And I'm from Texas mostly, so I love that area. It's great. You don't have to be anywhere to stream. Like you can be wherever. As long as you got a good internet connection, it doesn't matter where you are. And that's why I said, like, for me, I want to do more than just stream. So that's why I came here. But I definitely think you do have to, don't ever go full time until you budget out how much is it going to cost me to live wherever it is that you're living. It's very expensive to live in LA. It's very expensive to live in San Francisco. I had like a tiny closet of a room and I had a loft bed. And then my computer was like, my setup was like underneath my bed. It was like not supposed to be a bedroom. It was like illegal. But that was that was rough. But then now here, I've paid a lot. I've moved around, and now I'm paying less again because I have roommates. But it's like it's definitely a factor. Like, oh man, I have to stream because if I don't make that rent, then I'm screwed and I can't live in LA anymore. And definitely, I warn people that are like, oh, I just got partnered. I'm going to quit my job. I'm like, make sure you got some, other source of income that's also more stable. I know streamers who would constantly rely on donations, and that is just not good. I don't think that, yeah, maybe you do get a lot of donations every time you stream, but I think that it's very irresponsible to rely on that to pay your bills. And I warn everybody against expecting any donations ever. Like I used to get a lot, and then I kind of just like, I don't know, I stopped like advertising that you could donate, or like I don't know. I prefer people subscribing and getting more out of their, what they put towards a stream.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of people do get, like bigger streamers especially, they get tons of donations. But I'm talking about people who are like smaller to mid-size, definitely don't rely on donations because that's not a stable form of income. Neither is subs. Neither are they. But it's definitely like budget it out. Make sure you got yourself covered before you decide to go full time.
Yeah, that's great advice. What would you say? Because I think you've been in now for a while, and you've done a lot of things, not just within streaming. How do you balance the workload that you have and just like manage like both work and life and, all the stress that comes with both of those things? How do you balance that?
Yeah. These days, especially since I moved, I'm focusing a lot more on real life right now, just because I need to like be happy and have, social interaction, being an extrovert. So I make sure that I get social interaction every week, like outside of my house. I make sure that I do have me time. And that's kind of part of the reason it's been hard for me to get back on the ball after moving here. Like I haven't been streaming very much lately. Because sometimes things happen, life happens, and maybe they bum you out, or, things are stressful and they make you just like, not want to just put on a smile and stream. I'm the kind of person who has a really hard time just faking it and smiling on stream. Like I'll straight up tell my audience like, hey, I'm not having a great day. I'm still streaming, but like, just so you know, don't piss me off.
Yeah.
And if I really am not feeling it, I'll be like, all right, sorry guys, ending the stream later. I won't turn on my stream unless I'm in a good enough mood to stream, because I might be in a fine mood, but I'm not feeling maybe very funny that day, or maybe I'm not feeling very entertaining, and I'll still take that time off. That's how I do it personally. I don't think that's a great idea for everybody. It's kind of like a do as I say, not as I do. Because it's also another thing to be very consistent, to try to stream at the same time every day, the same days every week, that kind of schedule. I have almost never had a schedule my entire career, and I would be way more popular if I did. But I just kind of do this thing where I stream whenever I can or whenever I feel like it. And that's worked for me, and that doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. It's definitely not a good thing to do. You should try to have a schedule if possible. And it's the same thing with like, maybe if you're not having a bad day, but you're just not feeling super enthusiastic, maybe you still do stream. I personally don't, but maybe that will work for you. That kind of thing.
It's one of the things that I think as newer streamers who might even have a full-time job already, and they're kind of doing streaming on the side. I think the mentality of, I have 6 free hours tonight before I got to go to sleep, and I'm just going to cram all those 6 hours streaming, and then I'm going to do that 5 days a week. I think it's just the mentality is you'll burn yourself out, because it's going to take a while to be successful. And I think one thing that I'm super happy as an industry, we've got still a long way to go, but mental health is becoming more of a topic, and people are talking about it, and like how important it is to step back a little bit and not just like constantly be on the grind.
Stay in touch with reality. Because I see a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about trolls and stuff like that, who are clearly out of touch with reality and just saying really awful things online. But normal people who are just like so hardcore focused on a topic online or something like that, they can just sit there and get themselves involved in just unnecessary drama, because you just need to like get up, walk away from the computer and remember, hey, everybody's a person, everybody's a human being here. I can't like read the tone. I can't see their facial expressions, their body language when they're talking to me. And, I've made this mistake too, where I've gotten, really angry and been sassy to people being awful to me online and stuff. And it's just something that you need to have real life time. Like maybe even if you're an extrovert, you still need to like have time away from the computer. When I was doing YouTube and Twitch full time, I actually was also dating somebody long distance, and I got so depressed. I was like at rock bottom, and I ended up making a video about it, and it's on my YouTube channel. This was years and years ago. And I was just like at rock bottom. I like cried and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. And I had so much outpouring, support from people like, hey, I feel like that too. Don't worry. Like, good thing that you reached out. Now you can get help. And I did. And I like started talking to a therapist, and he helped me work through my issues. And, I learned about myself. I have to have outside time. I can't be on my computer every day, all day like I was. I need to have social interaction in real life. I need to go for a walk with my dogs. I actually didn't have my dog at that point then too. And I got my dog, which also helped. I need to like cook. I need to eat good food. I need to exercise a little here and there. And those things really made an improvement. And yeah, people who have like depression, it doesn't go away necessarily, but you learn how to deal with it better. And I can just say like making huge strides in that for me was all about getting good quality time away from the computer, and away from, not just away from the computer, but away from the online community. You got to have like some roots in the real world, or else you can just get
sucked in.
Yeah.
How not that you should have to do this, but I feel like this is a thing that content creators might face, is forgiving yourself for doing that. Like being kind of compassionate with yourself, saying, I need to take some time away or time off. Is that something you're good at now? You're like, no, I need the time away, or is it still like a work in progress?
I still feel terrible when I say I'm going to stream and then I don't. I still do. There's times where I would always apologize. Hey, I'm not going to stream tonight. And sometimes now I don't even say I'm not going to stream. I just don't say that I'm going to stream until I know I'm going to stream. That way I don't feel as guilty about it. And, other times when I voice like, hey, I feel really guilty for not streaming, I just want you to know I'm going through something and I need to take some time. People are always like, oh, of course, real life is always more important, and that's always like a nice reminder. Not everybody gets that support, but everybody should know that no matter what, your real life is always more important than whatever online life you have. So you can still feel guilty about it and feel bad. Like, I could be doing more. I could be doing so much more right now. Personally, I could be doing so much more. But I've just like, I have a plan, and I have a course of action to get back on the horse, to get back into like the grind and streaming all the time. And I just focus on that, but I also take it day by day. So that way I don't feel too down in the dumps about how much more I could be doing, Yeah.
Got to live in the moment a little bit. For you, how do you keep your content fresh? Because it sounds like you've tried a lot of different things over the years, first way back when with Smite. How do you keep kind of reinventing your content? Do you feel like you have to?
I think that it's not, I don't know how to answer that. I guess for me, my content is never about necessarily following a trend, unless it's like a new game that comes out, or like I see people trying stuff or something that I'm like, oh my God, that looks like fun. I also want to try that. It's never like I'm seeking to do trendy stuff. It's more of, I used to only stream Smite 12 hours a day sometimes, almost every day. And then I was like, people were like, you should play another game. And I did that. And I was like, this is wild. I didn't realize you guys would like me playing other games. So then I played more games, and I broke out of that category of only being able to play one game.
That's so good when you can do that. As soon as they're tuning in for you and not just the game that you're playing. I
think that's very important. If somebody wants to do streaming, full time, and you're not just like a pro gamer in like one specific esport, whatever, I think it's important to have variety. Because you can get stuck, and people won't watch you if you play another game, because they're not ready for that. But I started pretty early on playing different stuff. And then I started doing music sometimes in between like games. I would like bust out my guitar. Or I would do one day, like long before cooking was a thing, I would actually like have another laptop in the kitchen and Skype myself and put the camera on. And I like cooked something on the stove, like while I was waiting for a queue time or something like that. And so I was just like doing stuff that I wanted to do. And then I started like music, and then I started doing like some makeup, and then I started doing all other kinds of random things. And it's always just been like the kind of content that I want to make, the kind of things that I want to do. I've introduced them to my stream, obviously if they're TOS appropriate. And then I've just built an audience. Sometimes I do get less viewers on a certain category, or sometimes I get more. The point is that everything that I'm doing on my stream, all the content I make, I enjoy it. It's what I want to do, regardless if I have viewers or not. I just happen to be very lucky to have such a diverse audience. I have like guys who will watch, straight guys who don't wear makeup, who watch me do makeup. And they're like, this is weird, but I like it. It's cool. Like, and I'm just like, great, awesome. Thanks for hanging out. So I definitely think variety is important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think doing what you love, because the minute you're not doing what you love, at least maybe you can get away with it for like a week, but the more you do that, the more it will show in your content, and the viewers are going to suss it out and just find that you're not as engaged or excited.
Yeah.
What's your aspirations? I know you said getting back in the grind, but like what's your 2020, 2021, what's your aspirations?
Well, I'm actually, so I do a lot of voice acting. So I would really like to do a lot more of that. My dream is to be like a lead character in like an indie RPG, a single player RPG. That would be so cool. Awesome. But I have some new shows that I'm going to be doing on my my own channel. I'm going to have a cooking show. It's I don't have a name for it yet, but it's going to be a vegan cooking show / mukbang type situation. And then I'm going to have a music show, and then a makeup show, and then like still gaming and streams like that. But also coming up in the spring, I'm going to be shooting an actual like at a studio, a D&D show.
That's super cool.
I've actually never played, and I've always been really interested. So I've been setting up, and I watch, Critical Role and all them. And so I'm like so excited. It's going to be something kind of in that vein. It's got a little different twist to it. I don't know if I'm allowed to like really say too much else, but I'm just so stoked because I love voice acting and I love role playing. So it's going to be great.
I love it. Wait. That's incredibly exciting. Well, we're almost at time, but I'd love just for those listening, you've had so much experience, both on Twitch, on YouTube, and then in so many other industries, which I'd love to just kind of know more about, as you've done kind of voice acting and so much other stuff. What would you give advice for someone who's just starting out, way back when in 2011, 10, when you were there? What would you give advice to them today?
My advice would be, one, not to expect it to ever become a career. Just do it and have fun. And that way, if it doesn't end up working out for you, then you still had fun. It's no time wasted, right? But if it does end up working out for you, you were having fun. It's going to be more genuine. You're going to have a great time. People are going to enjoy that. Two, and I wish I had known this back then, and people on the internet who say very nasty things do not know you. They don't know a thing about you. And they are most often just taking out their own aggressions. If you make a mistake, you're human, learn from it, apologize, move on, don't dwell on it, but do not take what the nasty people of the internet say to you to heart too much. It's really, they don't know you. And then lastly, definitely try to get yourself into a routine. It makes it a lot easier rather than what I do, which is kind of just all over the place.
That could be a 2020 aspiration, developing a routine.
That's why I have these shows coming up. I'm just working on equipment and stuff right now. So I'm going to have like the music show on one day, the makeup show on another, and then the cooking on another.
I love it. I especially love number 2. Those trolls are idiots or assholes. It's a projection of themselves. Definitely, and the own stuff that they're dealing with. And everyone gets it. Some more than others, unfortunately, but yeah, it's more of a reflection of them.
I have been the punching bag of this community for so long. I think I am because people know I can deal with it, unfortunately. So, yeah.
That sucks. But I'm glad you have a lot of experience now over the years in terms of dealing with it. I'm glad that you're also using your platform to talk about it too. And just sharing with everyone that's listening that it is not a reflection on you. There will be assholes.
Yeah.
Cool. Where can everyone find you if they want to go check it out, especially that cooking show, which sounds super cool? Where can they find you online? I'm
the ZombiUnicorn with no E in zombie because I'm an idiot. Pretty much on everything. And yeah, if like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I don't really upload to YouTube much anymore, but Twitter, all that stuff, everywhere.
Awesome. We will share that out. Also, random fact, just because it flashed again, the unicorn, it's the national animal of Scotland.
Oh, really? That's well, yeah. Actually, I have heard that before. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. No one believes it when I say it, but it actually is. Anyway, thank you so much, Natalie. It was a pleasure having you on. Wishing you all the best for 2020, and I can't wait to see the cooking show.
Oh, thanks.
Cool. Take care.